Hey everyone, welcome to episode 3 of Inspire at Random, Be Inspiration Livestream. So, in this episode of Be Inspiration, I'm going to be talking about guide your mind to mindset. Did you know you can guide your mind? What did I say? Guide your mind to manifest. Guide your mind to manifest. Did you know you can actually guide your mind to manifest? And I'm going to show you how to do that. And like why you should listen to me. Well, basically, I've had manifested many things into my life ever since my journey, and this whole my videos and even my live stream, what I really aim to do here is to kind of like share these things that I've been able to do for myself with you and to help you be able to do it for yourself as well. My biggest wins was my top three biggest wins is making out of a toxic narcissistic abuse gaslighting relationship. That's already my number one win. If I didn't have any of the other wins, this would be my I mean, if I didn't have any other wins, this win would be enough because it's such a big victory. I mean, to be able to get my mental health back, that is such a big win in itself. That was basically a divorce from my ex-wife. Got the best possible terms, and I obviously kept the house. And it's a huge mental piece. Other than that, I also went from being an intern to a management team member, a core player in the startup company. So I went from being like the office water boy to actually being able to even order some of my previous superiors around. So it's really cool. Um, and by the way, if you didn't know, I'm not a 20 something or a 30 something. I'm actually 40, and I just happen to have manifested my health, my fitness, my youth back. So these are actually my biggest wins, my three biggest wins. Uh, some of you may have seen my previous live streams. I put up a picture of how fat and overweight I was. In fact, I even had high blood pressure and cholesterol. But now I'm, in my best possible shape. I also had um some other things that I manifested as well in the ways of finance. A lot of people want to know, okay, yeah, sure, you manifested this, but what about money? Because money is important to everyone. Sure. Um, I had owed project payments that were owed to me like for like months and years. And suddenly it was wired in or sent in by a cryptocurrency wallet, and I was surprised. I never thought it would come because it was postponed and postponed and postponed, but it came after I detached from it, right? And then there were also debtors, as in people who owed me money. They contacted me to return money. I mean, when does that ever happen? Not in my 40 years of life has someone who owed me money, you know, asked me to borrow, who borrowed money from me before, and then, asked to return it. So I had people who contacted me and say, "Is your bank account still this? Because I would like to send it back to you." I was like, "Oh, that's very kind of you. That's very nice." As a matter of fact, yes, it is. So please do so. And the person actually said, I couldn't live with myself if I didn't do this. So therefore, I had to make this return. How interesting, isn't it? Right? Um, and then, furthermore, I also had yeah, I was even at once framed. I mean, here in Thailand, it can be quite corrupt and shady sometimes. It's a great place to live, like I mentioned in my previous video. I love being in Thailand. There's a lot of diversity. In my previous country, Singapore, it's either this way or the other way, and there's no in between. But over here, there's a lot of diversity. I can do a lot of what I want, and I can choose. There are different social groups, so I like, it doesn't have to be like, straight road mentality or another one. But anyways, I was framed in a case, right? Uh, there was corruption involved from other parties. So in normal circumstances, it would be very difficult, if not impossible, for me to get out of it. And also as a foreigner, it makes it very difficult too. But for some reason, the charges were dropped against me. So yeah, that's very cool and unexpected. So these are some of my biggest wins in manifestation, and that gives me a lot of inspiration to want to share this message to help more people just like you. Um, and this is a live. You can participate, you can say hi. I see someone watching right now, and any point of time that you come onto this live, you can just drop in and say hi, comment on this video. I'm more than happy to participate and engage with you. And as and when you're dropping in, even if you're watching this on a replay, just comment down below where you're watching this from. What would you like to manifest in your life? What are your biggest manifestation blocks? And just type away. All right. So most of my videos are kind of like short. My other videos, on my channel, but on the live, I like to go at a greater depth so that I can cover more things. And the biggest reason why I want to do it in this way is so that um, I can kind of like give you an aha moment. What I want you to feel is that if that's possible, then what I wanted to do is not that impossible after all. This is what I want to create for you. All right. And with that, before I actually go into today's topic, there are two things I'm going to do. First of all, I'm going to direct my fan towards me because it's getting a little bit hot. And secondly, I also want to show you this community that I've built. I'll be mentioning it later once again. You can see the link to my community inside of my. Okay, hang on. So this is my community. It is known. I'm going to detach my camera so you can see it. I've started a manifestation community. It's on the school.com platform, and inside of here, you can come into the classroom. I have collated some lessons. For example, today's live stream, after it is done, it will be going into Be Inspiration. Like lesson 1 is there, lesson 2 is there. Lesson 1, I put some notes in the bottom about the 6 W's, for instance. And then lesson 2, actually it's more like a mindset. And today, we also have some activities for you. But anyways, I want to show you some of the rest of the lessons, and you can join this for free right now. In the future, I do plan to charge for it, but right now you can join in as a founder and get access to this. So in these other sections, this is an affirmation section. I have some of my favorite affirmation tracks over there. And I also gave some examples of affirmation making. So to give you some ideas how to make your own affirmations, this is like ping pong affirmations. In here, I have put up the Bob Proctor You Were Born Rich series. Excellent, I would think recommended, no, compulsory education. Look through it. Ever since he passed on, Proctor Gallagher Foundation, they made this public. And so I collected all of the episodes, all 6 of them over here. The workbook is also here. In fact, I do have the workbook printed out in front of me. So I encourage you to print it out as well, so that you can do stuff. And later on in this bit, this is the oldies but goldies. I have the Master Key System, one of the best manifestation texts, The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn as well. And in regards to Master Key System, I actually came across the book when I went looking at houses. So how amazing, what a synchronicity. And in manifestation, we do not talk about coincidences. We only talk about synchronicities. And synchronicities are when, it's what people call coincidences, but we know that it is there for a reason. We know that we have attracted it. We know through processes that I'll explain like right after this. Okay. You will know why these synchronicities happen. Oh, I'm gonna close the kitchen door. Okay, so feel free to take notes or ask any questions as we go along. And The first thing, I have a couple of things to cover today, and I typically make my own notes before I start any live stream, because without these notes, it's kind of like going to achieve something, going to battle without a plan. And we all know how that's going to turn out. If you go into battle, there's going to be a lot of army, people who are, um, I mean, there's like, there's the rival army. And if you do not have a plan, a strategy, you're asking for trouble. So this guides me into my first point. We need to have a clear and visible goal. Clear and visible goal. Go back to the very first live stream that I done. I talk about, like, what is the goal. I talk about the 6 W's. All right, so go back to live stream lesson 1 and look at the 6 W's, particularly, why do you want to manifest? What do you want to manifest? What does this manifestation look like to you? And how much this manifestation is going to cost? Um, so go back to that one if you haven't, because the first point in guiding your mind to manifesting is that you need to have a blueprint of what is it that we're going to manifest. And by the way, hi, if you just came in, I see someone just come in. So let me know where you're watching this from, and what would you like to manifest? What are your manifestation blocks? And just go ahead in the comments, and you're most welcome to participate with me as I go through this live stream, kind of like a webinar, right? So this is the first point: make it clear and visible. And on top of that, it helps to revisit the mental image of this goal morning and night. Why morning and night? Because that when we first wake or when we're about to sleep, we are known to be in a alpha mental frequency state. When we are awake and doing stuff, this is so-called the fight or flight. Gamma, beta frequency. We are usually in beta frequency most of the time, but when we awake, when we sleep, we are in an alpha state of mind. And an alpha state of mind is the time where we are at our resourceful state. Okay, of course, if you can move beyond alpha, that's great. You can go to theta, you can go to gamma, but if you're just in alpha alone, you're already in a very resourceful state of mind. And hello again to the 4 people that just came in. Thank you for joining me on my live stream. Feel free to go into the chat over here and mention where you're watching this from. You can write briefly about the things that you would like to manifest and what are your manifestation blocks right now, and we'll address all those things. And my purpose in doing all these live streams is to help you to make an aha moment breakthrough. Because, like, all these examples, why do I take more time on the live streams to to go over different scenarios and stuff? It's because I want you to help you create like mental associations and mental imprints. And I want you to create aha moments so that you can feel that, hey, that idea of mine is not crazy. It's feasible. It's doable. And all we really need is to see a path toward the vision that we want. For example, earlier I talked about the blueprint, right? The clear and visible goal. And when we see people having a nice house like what we want, or a nice car like what we want, or a nice watch or whatever, when we see them, we should celebrate their victory. And if we can, let's find out how they do it. All right. So we want to do the ways of a positive person versus a negative person, the ways of a creator mindset versus someone who is going to destroy his own life, is that we look for solutions. And when we see a person owning this house that we like, this car that we like, this watch that we have, or going on vacations that we want, it gives us a clue or clues as to how we can get there ourselves as well. And this brings us to our second point. And thank you for the like, by the way. My second point is there are two powerful systems that are going on in our mind that actually help us to manifest. One of these things is the reticular activation system. The reticular activation system sounds like a mouthful, but what it really is when you look at the cars on the road, maybe a lot of people have always experienced this situation. Let's say you're out there, you're shopping for a certain make of car, right? Like for me, I'm a BMW lover, and my dream car is M760E, or rather, that's a car to that I've written down that I'm going to get, right? So when I see these cars on the road, my mind is tuned for it, and it's like, oh wow, I saw another one. Oh, that's another one. That's another one. And it's interesting because, or let's say, how many of you have ever bought a car before, and suddenly you notice that so many other people are driving the same car? And let's say if you like a certain color, um, suddenly you notice all the blues. You see wearing blue shirts all the time. Yeah, suddenly all the blues become very apparent to you because you have this focus for it. And this is what the reticular activation system does. And let me give you another example of the reticular activation system and what it can do as well. I have another video on my channel. You should watch it. It's about angel numbers. Angel numbers are like when are these repeat numbers typically, but it may not be repeat. It can be like 1212. It can 1122, 1155. These are the numbers I see a lot. All right, or 1717. Um, Other examples of angel numbers could be like the 111, 222, 333s, or that basically duplicates of the same number. And let's say a 4 ones is going to be more powerful than 3 ones, etc. And all these are basically the What if I tell you right now? It is the way of angels appearing to us in this physical world, because it is hard with all our we are so distracted in this day and age. It's so hard for us to perceive a spiritual presence, but when they come to us in the form of like repeat numbers, it is something that we can easily perceive, and it becomes a very calming and reassuring presence that yes, God and his angels are looking out for us, and God cares for us. So I've seen this many times on in traffic, and it's a very peaceful reminder that, wow, okay, it's nice to know that God's thinking of me. And like I mentioned before, when I see a car with angel numbers, very often it shows me the best way out of a jam. But coming back to this point, reticular activation system, when you are conscious for angel numbers, you will see them more often. And things will happen so strange, such as when I parked my car just 2 days ago. It was exactly 222. And the same thing happened last week as well. It's too much for a coincidence because the exact moment I reversed in, it was that. So the reason of me giving these examples is so that you can also think for yourself like, hey, I've experienced that too. Yes, if that is the case, you need to pay more attention to it because you're already onto something. You are already onto something. Okay, so this is the first part about the two mental systems that are going on for us. Reticular activation system. The second thing is mental transmission. Again, like, what's that? Mental transmission. So in the episode 2, I did talk about mental transmission. Um, like there is a study by the National Institute of Mental Health in the United States, and they have studied deeply into the pineal gland within our brain. You can also look into this NIMH pineal gland and see what you can find. There's been a lot of papers by the National Institute of Mental Health in the United States about the pineal gland and its electromagnetic frequency powers. So this is two of the mental processes that I mentioned. One is the reticular activation system that helps us to see things that are suited to us and find solutions. The second is our transmitter, our EMF transmitter is in our pineal gland. All right. And this, like sometimes, why do we feel that we gravitate towards certain things and people? Or why do certain things and people and opportunities gravitate towards us? What is this really the law of attraction? It actually comes from this neurotransmitter that we have. You know what? I'm going to just turn on this fisheye effect. Kind of like it. Yep. Like so. I kind of prefer this effect more. Okay. So the neurotransmitter, right? I want to give you an analogy about how that works. You think of your Wi-Fi. You think of your Bluetooth. You think of your mobile phone frequency. What do you use? 3G? No, no one uses 3G these days. You probably use 4.5, the 4G or the 5G, right? So all these frequencies, they are there in the air, in ether, right? They are carrying data that we cannot perceive with our naked eye. But just because we do not see them does not mean that these frequency waves are not there, right? And for those of you who are born in the 1980s, as I was born in 1984, um, in your youth, when you're using a phone, and at that time, a lot of the internet sharing was through Bluetooth, you may have remembered like these strange incidences when you're out, you're eating, you're shopping, and you get a notification on your phone. XYZ is trying to send you a message by Bluetooth. Ever experienced that? Right? Um, Someone's trying to send you a file. Someone's trying to send you an audio. Would you like to download it? Proceed or decline, right? And then when we log into stuff, right? When we log into our home or we go to a public place, and let's say, especially if you're on travel and you didn't have the local SIM card yet, so what do? You go into your phone list and you look out for like some of the Wi-Fi's and see which one you are going to join, right? Just because these signals are not in the air, they're visible to us, does not mean that it's not there. Okay, so when we log into it, what does that happen next? We now have access to the internet. And Bluetooth, like I said earlier, through something that we cannot see, suddenly we can receive a picture. Suddenly we can receive an audio. All right. Just because we do not see it does not mean it's not there. So coming back to this point about the mental transmission, right? Our mind works just like all these things. Your Wi-Fi router, your Bluetooth, your Bluetooth device, or your phone, or your whatever. Our mind is able to send out and receive signals through our pineal gland. Is our transmitter. It has our pineal gland is made up of very what do you they're made of like it's like they have a very crystalline appearance. All right, it's capable of piezoelectric and electromagnetic EMF frequency as well. So this all this is able to help us to attract and yeah, basically send out signals. So that's our second process. Now number three, I want to talk about the guiding and filtering of thought. Guiding and filtering of thought. I want to illustrate this with a model. um, Many people, when they come to what you will come across people, and in fact my ex-wife was like this. Like she would say like, you make me so mad, you make me lose my appetite. Um, you make me feel so frustrated. But I mean, how many of you have come across people like that? I see some people here comment below. Why are you guys so shy? I mean, let's comment where you're watching this from, and what's your experience in manifestation? What would you like to manifest? Comment below in the chat. It's so strange. I mean, people keep popping in and out of my live stream, right? But I mean, it's great. It's much better than yesterday. This is my third one. I'm happy to see the response that I'm getting here on this live stream. So um, the thoughts that we have, I want to show you that this is a model by a person named Thurman Fleet. Thurman Fleet. I've written this over here. Thurman Fleet. So this is our conscious mind. This is our subconscious, and this is our body. This is a visual model that Thurman Fleet created that helps us to understand the human mind and how it works a little bit more. So why is the body the smallest part? The body is the smallest part because mind is far powerful than matter. And once you understand the powers of the mind, there is so much that you can achieve because we can literally influence reality through the signals that we send out. Just as how important like data is today, like many people said, if there's going to be a World War III, it's going to be a war of information. It's going to be a war of the internet. And something even greater than that is the power of our minds, because if things can be transmitted so powerfully, what about our minds? So our minds is a very, very powerful system. And like our actions, our physical manifestations are basically a result of what we are going on over here, because our outer reality is a reflection of our inner reality. If, like I mentioned to you, like my among my top three biggest wins is like I manifested back youth, health, fitness. I'm actually 40, but I look much less than that. And it's strange because before I started this journey, I was fat, overweight. I had high blood pressure and cholesterol. So, on the other hand, now like my body age is in my mid 20s, and how was all this possible? Well, because my inner reality was youth. I wrote down something as crazy as I am a fit, healthy 23-year-old in in my manifestation goals, because like your manifestation goals um, should be wayward, should be inspiring, should be outlandish. They should be in such a way that it's not about what I think I can achieve, but it's like just if you're totally unapologetic, you write a goal that is like far out of reach, because then it's like it's like you have a detachment and abandonment. It's like probably not gonna do that. That's way too far out of my league. But just to see how powerful manifestation is, I'm going to write it down anyway. So I wrote down that I'm a fit, healthy 23-year-old. And months later, I was shocked at the result. In fact, I am fitter than I ever was, even during my competitive sport days. um, okay, so coming back to this, and I need to flick on my charger. All right, it's charging right now. So this diagram here, what I wanted to show you is that our conscious mind is made of there are two aspects to our, hey there, thank you for saying hi, because so many people who have just been dropping in and out of this live stream, but I don't know what's keeping everyone from just speaking up. So yeah, I hope you like my content, and this is live stream number 3. So feel free to participate and let me know any of the reflections that you have along the way. So our conscious mind is made of two parts: the deductive mind and the inductive mind. All right, let me explain that. So our inductive mind, let's just say our ideas mind. When we see things out there in the world, perhaps helped by our reticular activation system, we get ideas. We get ideas. We induce from the stimulus around us, and we get ideas. We produce new thoughts that were not there in the first place. So let's say if we want to achieve certain thing when there is no apparent solution, and these are the best manifestations, by the way. Like I said, be outlandish, be unapologetic, aim for something outside of your league. I actually wrote down, like I said, 23-year-old young and fit. I'm 40, but it worked. It worked. So um, deductive deductive mind, on the other hand, is when you are in an environment, you're just passive to it. So if you are with a lot of losers, a lot of negative people, a lot of people who complain, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to complain. That's the deductive mind, because the deductive mind, it kind of like picks on a habit that is existing. Today I just noticed that when I was trying to turn into my estate, okay, there is an entry and there is an exit, right? Okay, but the entry and exit, there is a road. There are like two lanes in opposite directions. So as I was trying to turn in, there was a car trapped in between, after me. I mean, and then there's a car that turned out, and there are traffic on the other side. So this guy turning out, he should have just stayed back, let me go in, and then the other cars can move, and then you can turn out. But instead, he formed a gridlock. Try and imagine that. It was so funny. But the biggest breakthrough for me is that I actually find it funny. The old me would have like wound down my windscreen. I'll be like, "Are you out of your mind? What's the matter with you? What the fuck is your problem? Um, are you dumb? uh, how did you even think of doing that?" So like that was because in the past, when my ex-wife was still around, and when my in-laws came around, they were all like very negative, complaining people. And when my ex-wife's friends would be around, also very negative, complaining. So obviously I would also be negative and complaining. And yeah, so this is the deductive mind. But at the same time, the mind, if we can produce ideas, don't you think our mind is also smart enough to reject ideas? And this is the reason why I say that there is no such thing as I can make you feel certain way, or someone can make me feel angry. No, like someone may do certain actions, but it's still my right of how I want to respond to it. Like a salesperson can tell me all kinds of benefits of a product, but it's not like they make me want to buy. I still have to ultimately assess, is this product good for me? If not, then it's not even relevant. All these messages are not relevant. So at this point of time, if you've ever feel that, oh, someone made me angry, someone made me buy this product, um, it's all really you. And when you realize that it's our mind has the ability to take in, to reject, or to improve, then we realize that actually we do have a huge power. And for all that we see, for all that we observe, for whatever we learned in the past, our past experiences, the inductive mind is capable of mixing these things to come up with solutions to achieve our goals. In my future lesson, maybe episode 4, I'm going to talk about the different kinds of goals: type A, type B, type C. I mentioned this in some of my videos before, but if you can find all these lessons in one place, concentrated, like, these are kind of like classroom lessons. I'm going through different examples. So I will go through that in my next lesson. But like I said, a type C goal is something that pushes you beyond your boundary, something that is ridiculous, something that is far and beyond. Like, I'm 40, but I wrote down I want to be young, fit, 23-year-old. So this is like an outlandish goal. And let's say if your income is currently like, 3,000 a month, um, and you know a type, I'm going to talk about a little bit about it now. So a goal that is not challenging enough for you is to aim to try to manifest a monthly income of 4,000. Because if you're already at 3,000, 4,000 is not that much of a stretch. But if you're currently at 3,000 a month and you're manifesting an income of 15,000 a month, 20,000, that's inspiring. wouldn't your life change greatly? Okay, so with this piece of knowledge that I've just given you, for whatever you have previously written down in your goals in lesson one, feel free to revise them. I revise my goals very often. And you know why? Because I look at the stuff that I write down for myself, I read it to the mirror, and if I feel anything incongruent with what I read to myself, I literally change it and I read it again. Because I mean, when I do affirmations, I need to accept what I write. Like I said, the mind. Because when I do affirmations, I am trying to influence my deductive mind. But my deductive mind is not totally no resistance. There is also some resistance that can be. So I want to make sure that I flow with my affirmations that I write. And if there is something along the way, I change it. So I want to show you example of some things that I've changed along the way. For example, I previously wrote I am a multimillionaire because I want to affirm the state that I want to be, right? And later on, I thought, I don't just want to be a multimillionaire because I don't want to meet a new partner. I mean, like divorce, right? So I don't want to meet a new partner who rips me off, or I do not want to be rich and then lose it to an investment scam or whatever. So what I changed my affirmation to is I am a financially savvy multimillionaire. Do you see the difference in that? I'm a financially savvy multimillionaire. So now this has been adjusted, right? So this is how it. Yeah. So that's how we change it. Cat hair on my. Okay. Um. Now, where are we? Okay. So part number 4, raising our vibration. So far, a quick recap. I've said the first part to guiding your mind to manifest is we need a blueprint, a clear and visible goal. We must be able to visualize it. Do it morning and night, right? Catch hold of the alpha state of mind, alpha frequency, which is the state of frequency that we're at when we wake up and just before we sleep. Number 2, make use of our reticular activation system. Once we have this blueprint, the reticular activation system is going to help us to look out for possibilities. And that's going to work with our inductive mind. And uh, the mental transmission using our pineal gland helps us to cast out signals to the universe. And this helps us to attract and resonate with things, people, opportunities, places, etc. It's very, very powerful. And we can strengthen our mental transmission by getting into alpha frequency. Also, we can also enforce that through the use of affirmations. I'll get more into that in a later video. Okay. Now, the part number 4, raising our vibration. We want to raise our vibration constantly. I mentioned about the frequencies. I mentioned about like the Wi-Fi, right? So let's say that the goal that you want, the things that you want to manifest, they are actually on a certain frequency level. And if you are, let's say, at a different frequency than the frequency that you want to be, how are you going to get this result? For example, I just showed you earlier when I went into my Wi-Fi drop-down list, these are all the other available Wi-Fis. And firstly, um, can I connect to any of the Wi-Fis? No. Why? Because some of the signals, they are nearer, some of them are further away. The signal is weak, some are strong. But even after I connect to them, hey there, Flopper. By the way, I always wanted to get a flopper, but I just realized that they eat so much, and the physique is like a Chihuahua kind of. Um, yeah, so I was like, I ever thought of I might still get a flopper in the future. I might still. Uh, okay, so after you connect to the Wi-Fi, right? Even if the signal is good, you still need the password. If you do not have the password, you can't get in. And then let's say if the frequency, the result, the things you want to manifest is at the frequency of X, but you are currently at frequency Y, or you're at a frequency like F, so how would you get to, how would you get Y, or how, no, how would you get the X if you are at something else? It just doesn't match. So if this thing that you want is at X, the frequency of X, you have to raise yourself to X as well. Know where you're currently at. If you're currently at like A or B or whatever, that's fine. We keep raising it, all right? We keep raising our frequency. And like I mentioned in my previous video, episode 2, um, being the person that you need to be in order to achieve this. So if at this person, like X goal requires X individual, Y goal, Y individual, Z goal, Z individual, and so on. But if you are at a, if you're not the, if you're if you're a different person and this is your goal, you have to change it. So most of the time that would involve like upgrading ourselves. Hey, wow, suddenly there's a bunch of new people who just popped in. Tell me where you're watching this from, and thank you for tuning in to my live stream. I'm doing a series of these ones basically to share my experience in manifestation. I want to help people to manifest things. And if you're late in coming in, no worries, because the replay will be up like shortly after this one is over, and you can watch from the start again. So like coming to the vibrations, we raise our vibrations. We first must have an image. So I said before, like, what does our manifestation, our goal look like? And we have to visualize the scene where we are in possession of all those things, and the version of us. How does the version of us in that scene, all right, in, it could be the dream house, the dream car, how does the version of you look like there and then? Fitter, more handsome? Is he wearing a suit? Maybe he's wearing the watch that you always wanted. Visualize that. I had guided visualizations in my previous 2 live streams, so you can refer back to those. I don't plan on doing one today, unless you tell me you want me to do one here as well. Then get yourself into the vibe, and you will be able to do it. So the next point is raising minimum standards. Like right now, what are you typically having for your meals? What kind of fuel are you using for your car? Like in terms of minimum standards, when you go to the supermarket, what grades of meat are you buying? How about buying a more premium cut? And if it's steak, for example, maybe if you're currently buying, I want to share a personal example, right? In the lowest, okay, like before I began manifestation, I used to be like, at one point I had a pauper mentality, because I was conditioned into thinking very negatively. I was conditioned into to thinking of positions of lack, because my ex-wife's dad used to have a successful printing business, but he lost it because he couldn't keep up with the technological advancements, and he took action too late, and ultimately it led to clients jumping ship and they went bankrupt. Thereafter, I mean, this was my ex-wife's dad, and he just took on a very ordinary job, basically like ride share. And ride share here doesn't pay as well in other parts of the world. Not even ride share. I would just say it's more like taxi kind of thing. So you would go to like taxi driver hangout spots, and people there are of a certain mindset. And like when everyone's thinking that way, he adopts it too, forgetting that he was once rich, once successful. And you know what? Um, that mindset affected me too. I'm not blaming. I only I only kind of looking back, I just feel a bit upset that at that point of time, had I known what I know now sooner, I could have used the powers of the mind to reject the influence that I did not want, that is not good for me. And if I was able to do that back then, which actually, as I tell you this to you now, I hope, no, this is definitely early enough. You can still make changes to all your surroundings. So your surrounding, friends, family, work environment, they they may love you, but sometimes they may also be in disagreement of certain things. So I just want you to be able to appreciate the love and support, but have the discernment to basically accept or reject ideas that may or may not serve your higher purpose. Does that make sense? So back then, coming back to my story, I got into a pauper mindset, and I constantly spent the least possible. I went into this when my previous business failed in the beginning stages of COVID. I mean, I used to earn a very high and large sizable income, um, but I started making a lot of lifestyle adjustments, and I basically was like cost cutting, cost cutting, cost cutting, cost cutting, and that led me to, and I mean the the peak of this cost cutting that I ever did was just so that my kids could eat uh, like continue to eat the food that they wanted. I basically sacrificed like myself for my ex-wife, who continued to get takeout, and for my kids to I mean, they used to have beef steak regularly, and then they went downgraded to pork and then to chicken. um, but for me, I was eating like chicken carcass, or like pork bone, because these are the cheapest, and that helped me get my protein fix, right? And if we bought anything, it would always be like from the closeout section where there are special deals. And I I was very frugal, and even when I had spare cash, I would ultimately still buy the cheapest possible things. And as a re- and I would, just repeat this pattern, and of being the lowest level, being on the lowest level, thinking that I'll be able to, make whatever I had left to last longer. But what I found out, which I'm sharing with you today, is like I mentioned in my previous videos as well. In life, you're either going ahead or falling behind. There's no such thing as status quo. No such thing as that. You're either growing or you're degenerating. If you're not growing, you're becoming degenerate. And I became a degenerate. Um, so have a success shopping list. I talked about this in my previous video as well. I have a video on my channel, Success Shopping List. Go look for it. And I would like you to write down a list of things that you could, or I mean, you would like to have. Random objects. A success shopping list are things that remind you of the advancements that you're making in your life. And as you write these things down, and like, okay, um, a new vacuum. Okay, I cancel this. Oh, tint my windscreen. Okay, I can do that. Um, a new tennis racket. Okay. Um, The more things that you strike out on your list, you know that you're actually progressing in your life, and it reminds you that you're raising your vibes and your standard is elevating. If you have been just saving money and staying home all this time, um, reward yourself with a meal outside, something that you like, or like, you have a certain goal. Maybe your goal is to dine in a 6-star restaurant, but in the meantime, if you go from eating home all the time to going to going to a 3-star cafe once in a while, even if it's there just for the order a bowl of soup, even if the main course you ate at home and you went there. But the fact is that you already made this huge step forward from being at home and bored and seeing the same stuff to going to a 3-star cafe. This in itself is a jump and a progress, all right? And eventually, when you can afford meals, I mean, as you're progressing, and this is exactly what happened for me. So when you're able to afford meals in a 3-star place, suddenly you're looking for 6-star, right? And again, the same thing. Well, maybe you can only afford the coffee at the 6-star place, but when you go there, because you're like, wow, I was able to be in the company of um, people much higher level than myself. And does this mean that I improve? Yeah, this actually is an improvement. So anyone and everyone who's trying to guide your mind to manifest, it's like, go where there are abundance of people already doing the things that you want to do. Because when you observe them, you pick up habits, decision making skills, nuances, but how certain things are done. And this actually leads to your progress and advancement, right? So these are the things that I personally did. So I went from, you know, in the past, at my lowest point, how I spend Friday night. If I didn't want to hang out with degenerates, probably be at home, like just watching Netflix and eating like low quality cheap ice cream. And then I started to hang out at, a live band place. And when I got sick and tired of live band, I went on to like a shisha bar where it's like, in Bangkok, it's more exclusive in a sense because it's not that common. And the place that I go, people have certain spending power. I don't order like alcoholic drinks because I cut alcohol due to like a shingles condition I had, and I appreciate my health after cutting alcohol. So I just go there, order coffee or tea, and I just chug the shisha, read books, and there are a lot of successful looking individuals in the surrounding, and I know I've elevated myself. So this is how you can raise your vibes, raise your minimum standards, and like a lot of it. And also, when I went to a one of my family friends found a good astrologer, right, and suggested that I also have a meeting with this astrologer and see what things he could suggest for me. So he actually suggested that due to my element, based on my birth date, birth star, whatever, that I should wear more of certain colors, and to strengthen my gold element, to have more gold accessories. Because if not anything, it will also remind myself of of wealth. So that's also why I like to wear uh, you know gold accessories, because it reminds me of wealth. And I find that it does help, because what you see, you believe. Just like even the phone that I mentioned before, I write my goals on the back of my phone so I can see them constantly. I get comfortable with it. I accept it. I do not reject it. All right. So everyone, this brings me to the end of today's lesson. Live stream. This is number 3. Yeah, live stream number 3. In live stream number 4, I will be talking about the different types of goals. I covered a little bit of it today. I'll be talking a bit more tomorrow. So in what you heard from me today, you may want to revise certain stuff. If appropriate, please do. And tomorrow, um, yeah, tomorrow's Friday, it's a weekday, I can still do it. So tomorrow, I'm going to be talking about the goals that you have. You want to be able to set those type C goals. I'm going to tell you exactly what type C goals are tomorrow. All right. So if you were too shy to say hi during this session, feel free to comment afterward if you have any questions about what I discussed today. Thank you. Goodbye.